How is everybody? Come on, I feel like the coach. We've played the full match, and now we're there on the halfway line talking to the team to go the extra half an hour. Have you got an extra half an hour in this audience or not? Have you got an extra half an hour or not? For Christ's sake, come on, let's make some noise in here. Okay, thank you. Good. Thank you to the baritone in the front row, who bears a striking resemblance to Pavarotti, both in his scale and in the power of his voice. I bring the solidarity greetings from UNI Global Union's family, from the 100 nations around the world, including the hairdressers in all of them. Thank you. And Celine, your president, is not here today because she's locked in those negotiations in Finland. So give her a round of applause. She needs all of our help. Thank you, Anne. We thank the Italian affiliates who are locked in a deadly Colosseum battle with a government that should know better. This is a government of the left, for goodness sake, and they're trying to tear up the roots of the labour relations system in this country. Let's hear it for our Italian colleagues. Our colleagues from UNI Africa, UNI Americas and UNI Asia Pacific stand with you in a fight for a changed Europe, for a social Europe, and for a progressive Europe. They say to themselves, when the strongest unions on the planet are under assault like this, what hope is there for them? There is genuine shock at the techniques and the methodology of the Troika. Now, I travel the planet, and I visit those countries of authoritarian governments and tyrants, of demagogues and dictators, and send a message of hope for them. What the Troika did is an incentive, an encouragement to every tyrant and dictator on this planet, and shame on the European Union for setting that rotten precedent. That is no example to the world. Let me hear you. We have members in countries much poorer than you that have had to accept more refugees than Europe has. And our unions around the world say, for God's sake, why can't Europe get its act together? But what they also say, and I was present in Sweden, and I was at Frank Bezerska's Congress at Verdi, I saw the genuine humanity of our trade union members. That is the face of Europe that counts, that opened their arms, opened their hearts, opened their minds and their doors and their homes of schools and in churches to find care and comfort for the refugees. Let's thank all those people that made that genuine effort for our members. Look, we're in this fight together, Europe and the world. We are a cohesive, joined, united organization. And all those unions around the world, and I have to spend a lot of time meeting them, they say to me, what is the mood of our European unions? What is their spirit? Is there any defeatism? What is the mood at the conference, Philip? What message can you bring to us in all these parts of the world? I also have to say to all of you, this is not a conference in isolation. Every single employer and many investment funds are following closely everything that we do here. They're checking our websites, checking our Twitter accounts, checking our Facebook. We know when we're in negotiations how much they know about us and the mood and the spirit. To the extent, sisters and brothers, that yesterday afternoon in Gdansk, at a paper plant, a packaging plant of Smurfit Kappa, the HR director stopped the bloody factory for 2 hours and made a series of 2-hour rants and complaints about us whilst we're meeting here. Well, I'd like to thank him for the free publicity he's given to us. Because the workers. So, it's been a long day. So what we have to do now, and you know we always like to do this, we have to stand up and make some noise. And I want those photographs, I want films, I want social media to see this conference on its feet, to say that UNI Europa is a fighting force. You're meant to stand up, clap, make some noise, please, for God's sake. You're doing this without encouragement. That's it. That's it. Okay. That's it, make some noise. We're taking a stand. We're fighting back. We don't give up. We organize. We negotiate. Now come on. That's it, good. Thank you. I've just received a Twitter. They heard us in Gdansk in Poland and they thank you. There will be free Polish salami for everybody at the end of this session. Thank you, Frank, for the time that you give to us and this organization. You are a man not loved by the press and the media in Germany, but we love our Frank, don't we? He is leading the fight in Germany to change the government policy, and we're proud that he's our president. Give Frank a round of applause. I also want to recognize Brother Oliver. I want to thank him for making me wait 6 hours to make this speech. I have a very long memory, Oliver, but we recognize the work that you do. We have a brilliant team in Brussels. We are united in Neon. I know how hard they work and the hours that they sacrifice for this movement of ours. I feel, as we're in Rome, I've been looking for an analogy and I've come up with one. We will change our Brussels office team, not the Brussels office team, the Spartacus team. Remember the slave army? The slave army of Spartacus. Where's all my Spartans from the Brussels office? I want Oliver to dress up as Spartacus when he goes to the office on Monday morning. Because I have to speak a while because the cartoonist has paid me several beers to say this because he's now going to do a cartoon of Spartacus on the wall. Are you ready? Not bad. There they are. Get the camera on it. So the idea I'm saying, the Spartacus army, when they all stand up on that hill at the end and the legionnaires say, who's Spartacus? And they say, I'm Spartacus, and I'm Spartacus, and I'm Spartacus. These guys, these young men and women, dedicated, in love with their job, have 40,000 lobbyist legionnaires in front of them, with millions and billions of euros to spend, to smooch and to smooth, to argue and to bribe with their dark money. Thank God for that Brussels office. When I started in this job, there was just one person there. Now we have 25. It always feels double that number when I'm there. Let's thank those people, your Spartacus team. And if you want to shout Spartacus, I made a bet with someone that said you would never get away with it. If you want to shout Spartacus, just all say it. Spartacus. Go. Okay, all right. Was that any good, Trina? Am I sufficiently wild? Yeah, okay, you want more? Okay, good. Anyway, now then, the point is we're in this business to change the world. You're in the business to change Europe. We're in the business to change the world. And we are not intimidated by the challenges that we face. We always bring a message of hope and confidence and of a profound belief in who we are and what we say and what we do. And the word that we use is we make things happen. We make it happen. And don't doubt for a moment that we can't change the world. We have to reestablish some of our values and principles and let those be ones of peace. I condemn the atrocities that we've seen, the victim of fundamentalist terrorism. I condemn these attacks. I mourn the losses in Turkey and Ivory Coast this week. And we as a movement must stand together against these acts of terror and be even stronger in our principles that we believe in democracy and justice and no discrimination in any land. Who said the unions don't play a role in that process? I was with Trina Lisa on a freezing, I think it's December morning in Oslo. And I walked to the Nobel Peace Prize ceremony with more than 100 Tunisian trade unionists, all of them. And we were the only global union that backed their Peace Prize claim, as I understand it. They were all wearing uni scarves. What a wonderful feeling. We walked through there, and the trade union movement, I think for the first time in history, was given the Nobel Peace Prize, thanks to all the work that you have done and the sacrifices that they made. Union officials butchered, kidnapped, threatened, union offices burnt down, massive threats against their own integrity and security. But even so, the employers and unions, the NGOs and the lawyers got together and wrote a new constitution. Who says social partnership doesn't work? Who says we don't belong at the seat, to have our seat at the table? And let us thank the Tunisians for that wonderful achievement of theirs. Thank you. This peace process in Syria must work. There's a world war taking place in the confines of one nation. So many interests at stake and power plays in hand. This ceasefire must stick. 250,000 Syrians have lost their lives. 11 million refugees, 1 million in Europe, but many more millions in the region. We want this peace process to succeed and for people to stay the course to ensure that not only does the peace process work in Syria, but brings peace to the other parts of the world, other parts of that region. And I say quite simply, for this to happen, Mr. Assad must go. Let your people breathe. Give your people the opportunity to determine their future, free from fear, to exercise their democratic rights. And I say at the same time, we reaffirm here today our hopes and commitment and desire for Israel and Palestine to enter a peace process. We have our statement from Cape Town. We want to see two states living side by side, independent and democratic. And we lament, express our anger that there is no progress in the peace process. I am so happy that in this conference we have Israel, Palestine, and Jordan. That yesterday evening we had a meeting all together. And the conclusion was, how can we better understand how we can make progress? And I'm happy to say in those conversations that we will have Israel and Palestine represented on our UNI Europa executive. So I'm pleased about that. Wolfgang said it all. Wolfgang, he was the chairman of the youth committee and I was the secretary of the youth committee many years ago. The commitment to peace is real. But what we also have to say in this day and age is that we have to stand against the racism that we see. That we have to take a stand against the victimization of all those migrant workers in our communities. That we stand against the xenophobes. That we stand against the fascists. That we stand for democracy and rights and justice against all manners and forms of discrimination. We have to face down the populists. We have to face them down and stand our ground. And I reject when these populists try to steal our policies, that they pretend to be the friends of workers. And then we have, as what I would call it, the fraud of the populist. And the biggest one of the lot is Trump is a fraud. Donald Trump is a fraud. Valeria Long in the United States of America, for God's sake, make sure this guy doesn't become the president. Get all of your members out on the streets to ensure that we have a democratic president elected to the White House in November. One thing we don't want to happen is Mr. Trump. Time is running, and I have a long thesis on the alternative economic policies that we need to follow. All I would just like to say to you is that the austerity plans that we have seen deviated the world economy in 2010, and no political leader, save a few, has the guts to change course. What we have to do in the work that you do and what we do at the G20 and elsewhere is essentially to rewrite the rules and ensure that we don't get a rewriting of history by all those financial bastards in Wall Street that wrecked this global economy. We're not to forget who took us there. We are trying to make things happen in terms of getting a sense of the alternative, of a different kind of economic thinking and a different kind of political thinking. We have convinced the International Monetary Fund, and I have to pinch my flesh, and the World Bank and the OECD, who now say unanimously inequality is bad. It's taken them, 70 years to come to the conclusion, sisters and brothers, that equality is actually a bad thing. And now what they're beginning to understand is Valerie talked to us today about we can't shift the share of wages. The share of wages in decline. And they say, what are we going to do? How do we fix this? Goodness me, we need some more entrepreneurial spirit. We have the answers in this room. And it's very clear. ABC, strong unions, a seat at the table, collective bargaining rights, and labour market institutions. Now, that's not very alternative, but I tell you what, it works. And I think you'd all agree with me. Please, whilst I have a drink. I'm pleased to say when we set up that call in Cape Town that workers need a pay rise, that call has been taken up by trade union centres worldwide, everywhere. ETUC now says it, the ITUC said it, I recall. The UK's TUC also took up the banner that workers need a pay rise. Draghi says, the governor of the Central Bank of Europe says, I'm going to do what it takes. I'm telling you, he is not. He's throwing more money at banks, and we know that only 15% of the money that he's throwing there will actually go into the real economy. We got a problem. Zero interest rates, negative interest rates, business is not investing. We have to get our wages up. We have to increase that wages share. And the easiest step that Mr. Draghi can take is to say he's going to bridge the gender pay gap whilst he's still the governor of the European Central Bank, and in every single speech he makes, he's going to say the one way of increasing the wage share is ensuring that this inequality between the wages of men and women must end. I'm sure you agree. Thank you. So, what I'm saying is, we worked away about wage-led economies, about the importance of demand in the economy, about the need for investment. We flogged ourselves at the United Nations to give another view of development in the world. The UN Sustainable Development Goals have been adopted. A global plan to eliminate poverty in 30 years, to eliminate child labor by 2025. We adopted those conclusions and decisions in union halls the world over. We made it happen. In Paris, at the COP21 talks, we got the idea of a just transition in. We have a new roadmap. We work with the NGOs. We made it happen. We will make it happen in trade as well. The world is waking up to these rotten trade deals. They're not trade deals, they're investor deals. They're deregulation deals. They're anti-democratic deals. We have to change people's minds and thinking in that regard. We have to as well continue our efforts to ensure that all businesses respect human rights. We now have the Ruggie principles at the United Nations. All the businesses where you have members now have a duty to avoid the adverse human rights consequences. And I tell you what, one day we're going to get a global law that sticks to every company, that gives a legal obligation to respect the human rights and the trade union rights of their members. And that includes the right to strike. Thank you. In the same token, we build in our global framework experience too many European companies still not playing the game outside of the European zone. And we keep working. We now have 60 or more of these global framework agreements, but we're going to make them work. I ask for your commitment and support. We are going to have in June, and we made this happen. This organization with others made it happen. The first ever global debate on the supply chain. And we're going to come out of that all, I hope, with the beginnings of an ILO convention to clean up and have an ethical supply chain in place worldwide. And this is based on our experience in Bangladesh with the collapse of the Rana Plaza. We dedicated ourselves to the biggest global agreement of all time. 2 global unions with industrial, 200 firms, and we've done the business. We've delivered to improve the situation of health and safety, and that would not have happened without the encouragement and all of your support. We have to go for union growth, and we make this happen. Breaking through, adopted in 2010, an organizing fund. We have projects, I can't keep count, there's 80 plus. We have organizers bigger than the full-time staff of the organization in every continent, building unions, growing unions. You got a small perspective on it yesterday. We make this happen. We have a plan. We have a goal. We turn the resources in, and you should all be mightily proud of the efforts that are being made. And I was struck by the young man from Switzerland yesterday when he spoke about, are we dead or are we alive, he said, for those of you who were there. And I suddenly thought, good Lord, he's singing the ballad of Joe Hill. And then I looked at the verse, and it said, I dreamed I saw Joe Hill last night, alive as you and me. Says I, but Joe, you're 10 years dead. I never died, said he. I never died, said he. Well, Joe, wherever you are looking down on us, when I saw those young people, those millennials, taking the rostrum yesterday, it is very clear. We are not dying, we are living, and we're not prepared to die. Thank you. Okay, Frank is going to tear the room apart. He's going to set fire to the carpet. He's going to send short circuits through the building when he talks about the digital revolution and how we're going to adapt and mitigate and give a just transition to this. So that spares me the responsibility of doing likewise. In closing, I just want to say to all of you, please stay strong at home. To all of you, become more European and get engaged in UNI Europa. To all of you, become more global. I get tired of this argument, what are you doing for me? Where is the added value? For God's sake, we are a solidarity organization. We are the most active of the lot. There's not... We are serious about this business. We are changing the whole sense of what a global union is all about. We have built a brilliant organization in the world and here in Europe, second to none. I'm so proud of the achievements and the work and all of you for the accomplishments that we have. There is so much promise in our work if we stay the course and stick to the program and develop the goals that we have. We know that we can build a better Europe. A Europe when we saw from those grainy, black and white, flickering images of a time gone by, when a Europe was only 1 decade from war. My mother still talks to me about her war experiences, about men going to war and not coming home, about people losing their lives, about the Blitz and the loss of families and the repression that accompanied it. We have to rekindle that spirit of what this Europe is all about and connect the young people to this idea of democracy and liberty and progress. Europe is not about improving the rate of goddamn return for a business. It's about us, your members and your people. Let's rekindle that spirit. I salute, final word, our colleagues from the United Kingdom. They are hosting our World Congress. We're moving to Liverpool. Oh, yeah. Come on, guys, let's hear it. Come on, Liverpool. Yes, they're all in the corner. God bless them. Liverpool, friends, is a union city. It is a Labour-controlled city. And we're working together to put together a brilliant Congress. A fantastic welcome awaits you. Our theme, in case you hadn't worked it out, will be making it happen. A global union movement on the front foot. A movement growing in power, in which workers reach across oceans to friends on the other side of the world and say, you have my solidarity. Your future is important to me. A movement that fights for workplaces free from violence and discrimination on the grounds of gender and race and religion and sexual orientation. That offers protection and hope where no one else will. That is what UNI affiliates do every day. We are proud and grateful to have you. Now you go out there and make it happen. Thank you.